The damage here, though, is remarkable to see, and when you see it and you know that people are already responding in other ways to help someone that's in more need than they are, it really shows the sense of community here in southeastern Kentucky. Kristen, that's the scary reality so many families are facing right now here in Perry County and across southeastern Kentucky. The search and rescue operations, though, are still ongoing. It's been a long day for drivers in the Mount Sterling area on I-64 because they've been stuck there for several hours. We're told a 50 to 75 car pileup has been reported. And just like we saw in Mayfield, rescue crews from all across Kentucky are here in southeastern portions of the state doing what they can to help. And people from Mayfield have already been in touch with Chris asking how can they help here. And Amber, I know you and I, we spent time in Mayfield, and it's not surprising to see so many people coming together. It's unfortunate and tragic that that favor is having to be returned, but the sense of community is strong here. I'm a proud Eastern Kentucky boy, and the 606, they come together, and this is a perfect showing of that love and support for each other. It has been an emotional week here for sure. 1 week from this moment, Bill, officers were preparing to serve an emergency protective order, and no one could have anticipated the tragedy that would soon unfold. These 7 days have been the most difficult here in Prestonsburg, especially for the families and the agencies of these officers. The memorials outside the police department and signs of support in the windows of businesses show the heartache this town in the hills of eastern Kentucky never thought would happen.
It's not supposed to happen. Not supposed to happen.
Prestonsburg Mayor Les Stapleton says the last 7 days have felt like months. The last 3 days of funerals for Floyd County Deputy William Petrie, Police Captain Ralph Frazier, and Officer Jacob Chaffins.
There's no manual for it, there's no policy for it, there's no ordinances for it. You could talk to other agencies.
One of those agencies is the Pikeville Police Department. In 2018, they faced a similar tragedy when Officer Scotty Hamilton was killed in the line of duty. They have been covering Prestonsburg this week.
There's a brotherhood among, among fire and police. And we've got people here from Portland, Oregon, Chicago. You know, they've all come to show respect.
It's a respect that Boston Patrolman Edward Gately says he's traveled the country to pay, adding it never gets easier.
By for the grace of God, it could be me, it could be any one of my friends, you know. You know, every time you go to work, you put this uniform on. You don't know if you're coming home, you know. It's just sad, you know, and it's for the family. The families get hurt the most.
A sadness this community will feel and likely never forget as these 3 men now look out for their city as guardian angels. And Mayor Stapleton says he knew all 3 of these officers on some personal level. He worked alongside Deputy Petrie and Captain Frazier, and he's known Officer Chaffins since he was a boy. And coming up tonight at 6 here, we will talk more about Officer Chaffins, how he will be remembered here in this community. And while all these officers have had their funeral services, there is still one more member of these agencies to remember. That is K9 Drago. Tomorrow, Floyd County will hold a memorial service in his memory. He was the Sheriff's Office K9 unit for several years before he was killed in Thursday's ambush. Deputies will pay respects tomorrow evening at 6 at the Mountain Arts Center. Also, the Floyd County Community Foundation is taking donations for the victims' families. So far, it has raised more than $44,000, and you can contribute to that fund through a form on the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky's website. We have a link for that right now for you on WKYT.com. So now all 3 of these officers are in their final resting place after an emotional week here. And investigators, Bill, tell us that this is the deadliest incident in Kentucky law enforcement history in nearly 100 years, dating back to the early 1920s when 3 officers were killed and 1 was wounded in a prison riot in Eddyville. Driving down Highway 476 in Breathitt County, you'll find total destruction from the deadly floods.
The water was like, we were all almost up to the ceiling.
Troublesome Creek became a raging river that night.
We thought we were going to be pulled out, but with a boat, but no, nobody came. and the water kept getting higher.
The Cundiff family was holding on for their lives.
Here's where the Cundiff family home stood here on Highway 476 in Clayhole. Across the street is Troublesome Creek, which is down a deep embankment. But in the early morning hours of July 28th, that fast-moving and high-raising water was no match for this home and the family that was stuck inside.
Trailer that came loose from the foundation and was floating down there. Troublesome.
You know, we didn't know how long we were floating.
It's at this point the Cundiff's home broke apart and they were separated. Sister Nancy has not been seen since.
I don't know if she's okay. I don't know how badly hurt she is.
Nancy's mom, Ruby, died in the flood. Her sister and dad are staying positive and praying that Nancy is okay.
I keep saying to myself and everyone, you know, that no news at this point is good news, because if you don't hear any bad news, then that's good.
Every passing day, the family waits to hear from Nancy, her dad, with a simple message to his girl.
I love you. I love you.
We've been through a lot, but we can't give up.
In Breathitt County, Chad Hedrick, WKYT.
In small eastern Kentucky towns, communities wait all week for those Friday night lights to come on. Here in Breathitt County, these lights were shining bright on a community that has seen so much darkness. The first time stepping on the field and hearing the crowd. Our feelings the Breathitt County Bobcats didn't know if they would experience this year after the floods ruined their facilities.
We would be up to water in our necks right now, and all of the equipment, the trophies, everything that these players need to get through, all of their helmets, everything covered in mud.
The team, like many in Breathitt County, has suffered tremendous losses from the floods. Not having a season was ever an option.
We have players that don't have homes, we have players that don't have vehicles, ways to get around. So this is a way for just for a little while to say, you know, we're going back to normal.
The field is still muddy in places and some parts are not really usable, but it doesn't matter. This game, this season, are both happening.
We really wanted to get this game ready. There was some question a couple weeks ago if we could pull this off, because when we first started, we had a little bit of doubt if we could pull it off. But as every day progressed, we think we could do this for the kids and the community.
For a few moments, you're just involved in that. You don't have to think about the world and the mud and the smell and you know, all those other things.
A moment to take a breath and celebrate the touchdowns.
Just be good to see our community come together, just to be able to socialize and talk to some people that maybe we've not got to check on or see.
And certainly a victory for this team, this school, and this community. Of course, there are reminders still of the floods just a few weeks ago, but the best reminder of all is how strong this community is.
All good things come to those who wait, right? The Louisa construction worker has now locked in a recording contract and also a good bonus with it, $250,000, and he's riding the wave with a song that some artists turned down. Kane Brown, for example, passed on it twice.
Performing it live in his hometown last week, Noah Thompson's debut song is instantly becoming a hit. But one of the writers will tell you it's been a long time coming for One Day Tonight to have its time in the spotlight.
We wrote this song, I mean, it's probably a couple years old now at this point.
Brett Cherokee is a songwriter in Nashville. He says he always thought One Day Tonight was a hit. He says a few artists have put it on hold for their record, but it never made final cuts until American Idol called.
I mean, we were all fired up about it. We thought that song was like a no-brainer. We thought, man, we got gold here, you know, but you never know. And so, you know, that happens. Sometimes you think that and it doesn't, and then sometimes you think, oh, this song, ugh. And then someone cuts it and it's a hit, and you're like, really? You know, like it works both ways. But we all knew that that song had something, you know, it was special.
The song has been streamed nearly 224,000 times on Spotify and debuted at number 3 on iTunes country charts, making all the hard work and waiting for that one day worth it.
We view songs as our babies. I mean, it's like you create them from nothing, and then you're like, all right, now go. You know, I hope I raised you right, kind of thing. And songs like that, you feel they don't happen a whole, you know, very often. But certain songs, you're like, I think they're like the kid that you're like, all right, I did a good job raising that kid. That one's gonna be okay.